Okay, hello for everyone. And I'm Sergii Bidenko. I'm from Ukraine, and I'm a reputation and crisis advisor. And now I'm here. Thank you, Amanda, for the invitation. And I'm glad to see you and speak with you about myself and my work and about communications in Ukraine in the moment. It's not easy to work now in the wartime because rocket shelling and bombing of cities and power outages and psychological pressure is growing because it's war. But we adapt and remain effective professionals. we can't I think we can be another one. And Ukrainian businesses continue to be very active. It works in Ukraine, enters international markets, and unites with foreign partners, and all of this needs communication support. So we are working and have a new experience during the war. I think that any communication specialist in Ukraine now is volunteers too. And since the first day of the Russian invasion, many communication specialists have formed online groups to combat Russian disinformation and propaganda and keep the international community informed about events in Ukraine. And it's very interesting because we are great at creating information campaigns for our clients. And I think that now our country has become a client for us. And personally, I take part in several groups with my amazing colleagues, for example, known as the PR Army. And I'm also the founder of some information volunteers projects, such as LinkedIn page named Ukraine Actual News. And now this page has almost 2 million engaged readers. And another example, I created a list of Ukrainian top speakers who are experts in various fields. It's a businessmen, local authorities, and I think it was very important that Ukraine must have their own voice in this situation. And with the help of my colleagues from the Eurocom Worldwide Network, we initiated the communication of these speakers with the world's media and received more than 300 publications about Ukraine, about war, about different cases in this period. And our volunteer work is still important because Ukraine needs more support from the world community. And I think that our activities, information activities, give the country, give our president very important support and visibility through the media and for the citizens of the different countries of the world. it's very interesting, as for me, that every company in Ukraine is now not only a business, but also a charity foundation. Every company, because every business earn the money and spend some of money to support the army, the refugees, own employees and their family, who, for example, now is temporarily displaced. And communication support these two directions, business and charity activities. And we need to talk about business, but we also need to talk about the social activities of the company and its employees. It's important to talk about what the company is doing for the country, army, and citizen, because companies can't be silent. When every person and every company talk about what it does, it shows our unity and the scale of common support in Ukraine. And also about communications, I see a lot, and I have a lot of crisis communications now, because companies make mistakes in the service, like in the peacetime and in the wartime, and partners who have problems bring some inconvenience, and many more crisis tasks for international companies, which continue to work in Russia and in Ukraine also. If such corporations, international corporations, have a business in Ukraine, they feel mighty pressure due to the company, because Ukrainians don't want companies who haven't a choice between Russia and Ukraine and other civilization. So the cancel Russia movement is mighty, and it means to make pressure of international companies' central offices to withdraw their business from Russia. And any connection with Russia is now toxic in Ukraine and many European countries. And business should understand this and act to minimize this risk. So it's really high-level risk for any international company to be in Russia and support Russia with the taxes, or be on the right side of the history and support Ukraine and Ukrainian businesses and another Ukrainian businesses. It's a really important to understand, for understanding by the companies that it's high level risk. It's very interesting because we are adopted for many inconvenience. And yes, power and heating cuts and air raid alerts are a big challenge for everyday work. So we always have laptops, power banks, and mobile phones charge. Always. And we learn how to work in the mode of short tasks and time intervals, and also how to perform tasks at different times, because now I haven't electricity, and after 2 hours my colleague haven't eat. and we must to communicate and be effective. And it requires good teamwork, and many people are good at it. So we really have many interesting day-by-day life hacks, and now co-working places are really busy because they have electricity and many teams and many businesses come to the co-working places and work hard. The first that I understand, and I said about this, people are a critical asset of a company, and your office and equipment may be destroyed, and don't worry about this. It's just a thing. It's not a life. But your employees and their safety could be your priority if something happens. And I'm really grateful for any Ukrainian companies who was focused on their employees' safety in the first days of wall-scale Russian invasion in Ukraine. It's very important to think about people, and every your employees will be grateful for many years. The second point, your crisis plan may not work 100%, but it will help because you have it. You have this crisis plan, yes. And your employees need to know the details of this plan. Many Ukrainian companies was prepared for the potential invasion, and it was really helpful for the communication to understand and how to ask your colleagues, how you ask your boss about the next steps, and what you need to do in this case, in this situation. So, and it's very important to have a crisis plan. It's not a theory. It's a real life, and I saw how it works. It's not from the books. It's really from the real life. And the next thing that I think it's important to prepare your teams to work remotely, and in the situation of temporary unavailability of one of the team members, because when you waiting for your colleagues answer, but they haven't electricity or mobile connection, you stop, but it's not correct for the business, and your employees must know what colleagues are doing and how to access their content and documents, for example. And in this situation, I think that agency company must have an external reserve specialists who can join the work if there are problems with the infrastructure in some regions. So you must have the plan B for your employees. And I think that everyone need to know, need to think about increase the autonomy and resilience of your team members and your business. So buy the necessary equipment for home and office. It can be touristic equipment, for example, and something else, and power banks and another equipment. It's very important. And if it's not be necessary at the moment, you will have the equipment for a good touristic events, for example. And more professional points about some business processes. I think that you need to create information campaigns that can be available later, because I think that social networks forget posts very quickly. So your messages may not be seen by people who don't have electricity or mobile coverage at the moment. And you just not connect, you haven't connect with your target audience. So create videos, create some context for the social media, for the sites, and repeat the contact with this content. Okay, and the next advice: develop communication in groups, in messengers. It's a faster way to communicate important things. And I see that in Ukraine now some groups in messengers more popular than media, and has a million target audience, and it's the biggest that I think many media, online media, has in the time. And the last that I think it's important, teach your clients that businesses must take a stand on critical social and political issues. If a company doesn't have a point of view, it does not exist for customers. You know that millennials and Generation Z very sensitive for the companies who support or not support some social activities and movement. And in Ukraine, you can't be neutral. You must have a point of view about Russia, war against Ukraine, about some social issues such as gender, ecological questions, and many more. So I think it's a big challenge for companies, because it's not about business. Any company now, it's not only business, it's a social impact, it's economical impact. So teach your client not to be neutral, but have a strong point of view. I think that's all that I have at the moment as my own experience, and I'm open to share my experience with my colleagues. And I think that Ukraine will rising after the war, and now the moment is not good, but we are still working, we still live, and Ukraine, it's a field of opportunities for international companies, for international communication specialists. So I think you can be interested to looking for the Ukraine, and looking for the possibilities and opportunities to work for Ukraine, with Ukraine. And I think many international businesses will be presented here as soon as possible. So we are waiting for our colleagues and for international and UK businesses in Ukraine, and I'll be glad to support and help for everyone who need it.
Slava Ukraini!
Great.